So hello, everybody, and thank you very much for joining us for this webinar. My name is Ken Smith. I am the founder and Chief Growth Officer of Hopara, and this is Agile Digital Twins at work in the laboratory. First, a couple of housekeeping details. We are recording this session. We'll be making it available on YouTube later. So if you need to drop off, we'll be sending out the link so you can see it later. Secondly, if anybody has any questions, please put them in the chat. The chat is behind the screen right now, and I'll get to all your questions at the end. So with that, let me just begin. First, we're going to want to go through what we've heard from the market in terms of the needs of lab operators. What are they looking for in terms of a digital solution for managing their assets? We're going to look at some of the limitations of the existing solutions out there, all the way from a full-scale digital twin down to the BI KPI dashboard. We're then going to take some time in detail and look at what are the distinguishing features of Agile digital twins, what makes them different compared to those existing solutions, and then how can you get started very quickly with an ADT so that you can begin to see what the ROI potential is. Once we're done with that, I'm going to give you a live demo of a laboratory ADT so you can see how dynamic and engaging it can be and how quickly we can update these applications. So first off, what have we learned from lab managers? Well, really the feedback we've gotten falls into 4 different categories. First, they want to be able to visualize their equipment and assets at a very high level, but also be able to drill down into each individual asset. How do they get that bird's eye view and then look all the way down into the individual microscope or refrigerator or what have you in the lab? Second, very important for regulatory compliance, they want to be able to show that they're not falling behind on preventive maintenance and updates. Third, they want to be able to close the gap on scheduling for equipment and resources. And interestingly, number 4, they want to understand what the utilization is so that somebody's not out there buying a 5th particular machine when the first 4 are not really being utilized to their full potential. Huge cost savings in that area there. So what are the existing solutions in terms of being able to solve those 4 problems? Well, they kind of fall into 1 of 2 categories. First off, a traditional digital twin. Anybody who's worked with them, you know, the data requirements are substantial and the time and cost of development are also substantial. You've got to have a 3D model of each individual piece of equipment, each individual laboratory room, the full scale of the entire building, et cetera. The time and cost and the data requirements are significant. Alternatively, you can take your data and you can try to put it into a traditional BI or KPI dashboard. But what a lot of folks that we've talked to are finding is it tends to overwhelm the system in terms of the pace and the scale of today's data feeds. They were not designed to handle the real-time data of an IoT connected laboratory device. So they're beginning to fall over at the multiple megabytes. They can't get into the hundreds of megabytes or into the terabytes. In between those 2, you will find an Agile digital twin could be the perfect solution to help you solve those 4 problems that we mentioned before. So what are the key attributes of an Agile digital twin? There really are 4. Minimized requirements to build, a low-code approach, infinite rapid adaptability, and then advanced drill down. When you combine these 4, an Agile digital twin can deliver an order of magnitude benefit for companies that are launching a brand new digital transformation project, or you're trying to refine one where the time scale or the budget has gotten out of control. Let's drill into these in a little bit more detail. First, minimized requirements. What do we mean by that? Well, again, as I mentioned earlier, if you think about a full-scale digital twin, you need to have a 3D model of pretty much everything, from the asset to the lab, to the desk, to the room, to the building, to the street outside, et cetera. It can take a significant amount of data to build a full-scale twin. With an Agile digital twin, we can start with a 2D model, get you up and going, have the application begin to deliver returns, and then when you need to, and I'll be demonstrating this in a minute, when you need to, you can then add that 3D component because that's what's going to be necessary for you in order to get the drill down that you need. This gives you much greater accuracy because it's always up-to-date information. And in terms of the time and cost of the data movement, they're limited. So minimum requirements to get you up and going very quickly. We take a low-code approach. we are built with most or all of the coding already done for you. In the case of a full-scale twin or even an integration with the BI KPI dashboard, you've got a lot of coding that you're going to have to do. This means we can build it 10 times faster and we can implement 10x faster. All that gets down to ADTs can get you to a minimal viable product or proof of concept in a matter of weeks or months. Get it out the door, get it into the hands of your lab managers or operators, get it into the hands of the other folks in your company who need to be able to see what's going on in your lab. And don't wait a year or two. You can get this out in weeks or months. And then, as I mentioned earlier, you can update on an infinite and rapid adaptability basis. You can customize every aspect of an ADT from the start. You can then add new data feeds, and I'm going to be demonstrating this in just a moment, or you can expand and add new locations without recoding the entire project. You can build a small project with a few sites and a few assets, and then as new assets come online, as new sites come online, you can continue to add and expand. Every time you update the database, the viewer sees the new data being presented. The difference is with a traditional twin, it could cost you millions and take you many, many months to rewrite all that code. With an ADT, those types of updates are automatically built in. We also provide advanced drill down. As you're seeing in the video here, we can go from that super high level view to drill in all the way into an individual building with a 2D floor plan, drill into a 3D view of the asset, find the sensor that is providing the alert, and go into a histogram and get the detail. Now, that was a very quick video. I'm going to show you that in a little slower detail later. But what this does is it gives you the fastest time to results with an ADT. Again, 3D when you need it, 2D when you don't. In most cases, you don't really need that full-scale 3D view. That lets you get to an application much faster so that it can begin to deliver ROI much faster. How quickly can your lab build an ADT, a POC, to gauge what the ROI potential might be? Well, we can get you going in a matter of 3 to 4 weeks. We have a quick start program. We'll start you off with 2 hours of digital transformation consulting to make sure that there are KPIs on your side, that you have specific goals and objectives for what this project is and what you're supposed to deliver. That was one of the key things that we heard from many executives in terms of the development of the ADT. They want to make sure that their goals and objectives are being met and that the application can meet them as quickly as possible. We'll then provide 5 hours of Hopara Labs time to make sure that your first ADT looks awesome. That's our goal. We want to sit right next to your team and help you build an ADT that are going to make your users just absolutely wowed. And we can do that. We're so confident in the results. We're going to do it for a $10,000 one-time upfront fee. You're going to have to bring the data. You're going to have to bring data either in SQL or timescale format, put it in the cloud. We'll connect the two. But once you have that data and the other assets, such as floor plans, 3D models, et cetera, you bring that data to the party. Once we have that, we can get you up and going in a matter of 3 to 4 weeks. So I want to get to the live demo in just a moment. If anybody is interested, there's Gant's contact information. There's my contact information. Please send us a quick email. Let us know what you're interested in doing. If you're interested in the Quick Start program, we can get you up and going in that very quick time frame. So now I'm going to slow down just a little bit and I'm going to go through a live demo. So this is an example of a network of laboratories from around the United States. As you see, we've got 3 labs, one of which is blowing off some red level sensors, another of which is blowing off some medium level sensors, and the other one looks okay. Let's take a look at the first one and drill in to see what's going on at this particular location. Now, as I mentioned several times before, it's 3D when you need it, 2D when you don't. You don't need it right now. All you need is this 2D floor plan and a rollover of the individual asset. There's an incubator, another incubator, Spider-Man, another Spider-Man, etc. This is all that you need at this point in time to be able to monitor all of these assets. Now, as I mentioned earlier, as long as your data is up to date, when a user is scrolling around, these tables can include additional data such as real-time temperature. They can include last maintenance schedule, etc. As long as that data is 1 minute up to date, your users are seeing 1 minute up to date data. So this particular floor plan looks okay. I thought I saw some sensors going off in the other floor plan. So yep, let's see, there we go. So here we have an office with some alerts going off. We've got 3 assets with alerts going off. And again, I'm only in a 2D environment because that's all I need right now. I don't need the full scale 3D. But orange level sensors, that's not really that much. I want to go back because I know that there was some red level sensors going off in lab 3. So let's drill down here into lab 3. And we can see that we've got individual sensors going off, we've got room sensors going off, we've got orange level sensors going off, and we've got a big sensor going off in the top of this room here. So now I want to drill in and I want to get a lot more information about this particular asset. What's going on here and why are we getting this alert? So this is a Siemens electric generator, as you see on the left-hand side. I've got the room number, I've got the temperature, and what I want to do is I want to drill into this asset and I want to see exactly what's going on in detail for this particular device. Here at this level, now I want 3D. Now I want to be able to place sensors on any part of this machine. I want to be able to drill right into the machine, zoom back out, pan around, drill in, and clearly there's the sensor that is causing the alert. So let's show what the history of this sensor is. I now jump over to a histogram. There's my data. I'm going to drill in further so I can see that it was at about 3 minutes and 53 seconds that this sensor began to show a higher temperature. And as I scroll along, there's the next event. And again, at around 53 seconds, 3:27:53, that's when the temperature began to come up. So then I go back and I'm looking at my 3D model. In this case, because it's a 3D model, it's going to take it a second to render. But here I am back at the same zoom level. This is my gas turbine. Again, we can place sensors anywhere on any one of the 3 axes. I can go back again. Here's my 2D floor plan. And now I can zoom around and I can go back home and I can see what's happening throughout the entire network. So there's just a quick example of a couple of the capabilities from the drill down, high level zoom, drill into the detail, and get the 3D when you need it and the 2D when you don't. But now I want to demonstrate the infinite adaptability. So let's say you are the lab operations manager for lab 3. And someone has come to you and said, we have a new asset that we're trying to put into the laboratory, a new piece of equipment. It's called a refrigerator. Here's the database. It's got the asset, it's got the location, and I need you to add it to our ADT. So here we have a bunch of devices. We've got everything from Jon Snow to an incubator, etc. And if you look in the bottom left corner here where it says App Studio, if you think about Hopara like a Rubik's Cube, users are going to be panning across right, left, and they're going to be zooming down in. We build these as layers. So what I want to do is I want to build a new layer pulling from a new database called refrigerators. And this is how we do it. So I'm going to call this refrigerators. I'm going to want it to be an icon. Again, for the simulation, we have been given the database called refrigerators. And now you notice right away, all the placement of all the refrigerators are already on the map with the detail underneath, latitude, longitude, name, description, the room number, the type, etc. We can add any amount of data to this particular table. But instead of a circle, you know what? I think I want to make this an icon, and I want to make it look like a refrigerator. So we're going to use our generator here to find the icon for a refrigerator. I'm going to be able to resize this. Again, I'm on the left-hand side editing here, and I think I'm going to make these green just for the sake of doing so. Now you notice that the icons are all appearing here at this zoom level, approximately the same size as the other icons. But if I zoom out, the other icons now begin to cluster into circles with the number of items in the middle. I didn't build that layer yet. I'm going to do that later. But as you see, if I continue to zoom out, the icons for the refrigerators are overwhelming the view. So I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to zoom back down in, and I'm going to go back to my menu over here, and I'm going to look at visibility. If you see the small triangle right here, that shows you the zoom level that you're at. As I zoom out, you notice the triangle moves. As I zoom in, the triangle moves again. So I'm going to zoom out until the circles appear and go in just one more click. That's the zoom level that I want these other assets to appear. So I'm going to take this zoom here and I'm going to move it in to where the triangle is, so that now as I zoom out, now you're rolling up all of that information. It's part of those circles, but as I zoom in, now the assets appear, and notice that they're resizing automatically because I set that as one of my appearance parameters. When I'm zooming in, that icon is resizing depending on the zoom level. Now let's also imagine that as a lab manager, you're now been asked that you're going to go into a clinical trial, which means for the users of this particular platform, and this is just public data, but you want to be able to add it very quickly to your ADT, you need to know two things. Where are the local hospitals? And you've got a leasing agreement with, let's say, Penske Trucking, because they've got refrigerated trucks. How are you going to get your materials from the lab to the hospitals? Let's put these onto the ADT and see what they look like. So I'm going to put on a new layer called hospitals. Again, I'm going to pick an icon. I'm going to pick my data source on the left-hand side, and I'm going to pick hospitals. And again, boom, they're all the hospitals in the area based on the data that we have. In terms of my appearance, again, I'm going to want to look at this so that it looks like a hospital. I'm back on the left-hand side navigation here. I'm going to make them look like a building, and I think the hospital should be light blue. I'm going to add one more layer. This is called Penske. These are going to be icons too from my DuckDB. And there's the Penske list in the database. And again, there are the locations of all of the trucking facilities where we'll be able to lease trucks. I'll put in an icon to make it fun for my users. I'm going to pick from a truck icon from our icon library. It's a fast truck. So there you have an ADT, and I'm going to check the visibility. Yeah, see, I forgot to do that. So let me make sure that I have my visibility set so that the trucks appear at approximately this level. And now I'm going to do the same with the refrigerators. Those are already set properly. I'm going to look at the hospitals. My visibility is going to be at about that level. So I zoom back out and zoom back out. And now I'm looking at the whole thing. So there you have it. Again, wanted to thank everybody for your time. Please contact us if you're interested in a quick start program. My name is Ken Smith, and we look forward to seeing you at the next webinar.